What an honor to be here at the University of Utah with Silicon Slopes Marketing, to have this great chance to be with you. And I'm going to be talking about leadership, but I also believe this is about marketing. And I think it applies to both. So you can apply this both as a leader within the marketing organization in your leadership journey, but also I think this is a paradigm of a better way to market in our world today. And as was mentioned, I'm going to be building this upon this Trust and Inspire book. And I think everyone's got a copy or going to get a copy as part of today. Let me begin by sharing a story as a metaphor. So this is Death Valley, California. It's considered one of the hottest places on earth. It has the world's highest recorded temperature, 134 degrees. And not only is it hot in Death Valley, it's dry. The average rainfall is just 1 inch in a given year. In fact, there was a 40-month period in which only half an inch of rain fell. So it's hot, it's dry. As a result, nothing grows there. That's probably why they call it Death Valley, right? But interestingly, in the winter of 2005, for some unexplained reason, 6 inches of rain fell in just a very brief period. Sure enough, just a short time later, here's what Death Valley looked like. Wildflowers popped up and carpeted the entire valley. It turns out it wasn't dead after all. It was just dormant. As the late, great Sir Kenneth Robinson said, maybe we shouldn't call this Death Valley, but instead, Dormant Valley. Now look, from a branding perspective, that's not quite as catchy. That's probably why we went with Death Valley, but it's a lot more accurate. You see, the seeds were there all along. They just needed the right conditions to flourish, to grow, to develop. When those conditions emerged, the seeds grew. In a sense, people are a lot like this. The potential for greatness, the talent, the possibilities, the capabilities are there. They might be unseen. They might be lying dormant. Our job as a leader, and I believe as a marketer, is to be more like a gardener than it is a mechanic. See, a mechanic goes around fixing things and people. A gardener creates conditions for the seeds to flourish, to grow. And just like the life and the power is in the seed, the life and the power is in the people. And we believe in them and see their potential, and we help unleash it by seeing it first. We're gardeners as leaders. I'll come back to that metaphor as we go throughout. Here's the basic premise of this book, is that the world has changed in significant and profound ways, and you know this as well as I do. And yet, our style of leadership has not. Traditional leadership has not kept pace with the change in the world. Think of all the ways the world is changing right in front of our eyes through technology, and you're a part of that. The pace of change, the amount of change, the type of change is unprecedented. Disruption everywhere. AI, the impact of that, it's just unprecedented. But also, the nature of work has changed. It's far more collaborative, interdependent, team-based than ever before with a service orientation. The nature of the workplace has changed, where suddenly there's work from home and hybrid and remote work options that didn't exist very much just a few years ago. And the nature of the workforce has changed, with as many as 5 generations at work, with the younger generations in particular having completely different expectations of how they want to be engaged and led. So the world has changed, and yet we continue to lead too much in the old model of leadership, what I call command and control, in all its iterations. Now what's happened is we've evolved to a more enlightened command and control, but it's still more the traditional hierarchical top-down type mindset that still pervades too much. The research shows about 9 out of 10 organizations are still operating at a command and control model. But that's not going to work in this new world where people have choices and options. That's not going to work to create a high-trust culture that inspires. So we win the war for talent. We attract, retain, engage, and inspire the best people and bring out the best in people. Command and control won't do that. And that's not going to work in a world in which we need to collaborate and innovate to stay relevant. You can't command and control your way to collaboration and innovation. But you can do it with a new kind of leadership, and I call it trust and inspire. in contrast to command and control. See, maybe command and control has worked in the past, but as my friend Marshall Goldsmith said, what got us here won't get us there. So maybe we've done command and control and it's worked in the past, but it's not going to work in this new world of work because it won't produce the innovation, the collaboration, and the inspiration that's needed to win in the workplace so we can win in the marketplace. It's inside out. We need a new way to lead. I call it trust and inspire. And I also think it's a new way to market. So let me describe trust and inspire by contrasting it to command and control. So in command and control, the idea is that we manage people and things. In trust and inspire, we manage things, but we lead people. See, I'm not against management. I'm in favor of good management, great management. Management is good for things, for systems, for structures, for processes, for the numbers, for the business. We manage things, but we lead people. But sometimes we get so good at managing things that we start to manage people as if they were things. And if we keep doing that, at some point, we might end up with no people and a lot of things. Because people have choices and options, they'll go elsewhere. People don't want to be managed. People do want to be led. And they want to be trusted, they want to be inspired. So it's not either or, it's and. The context matters. Manage things, lead people. With trust and with command and control, it's good for efficiency. That's important with things. But see, it's very transactional. Trust and inspire, the focus is on effectiveness. It's far more transformational to what it does to relationships, to teams, to cultures. Be efficient with things. Be effective with people. The moment we try to be efficient with people, we lose our effectiveness. Command and control, it's a mechanistic view of the world. So I'm a mechanic fixing things in people. Trust and inspire, I'm a gardener. I'm creating conditions for the people to flourish, to grow. For the life and the power is in the people. It's in just like it's in the seed. Command and control, I have a fixed mindset towards others. So I try to contain them, control them. I'm not sure they can change and learn and grow. Trust and inspire, I have a growth mindset toward everyone. So I see the potential, the greatness, the talent that's inherent inside of people. And I believe in that, including our consumers and those that we're marketing to. I appeal to who they are and can become. Command and control, the focus is on motivation. It's external, extrinsic, outside of us. It tends to be heavy carrot and stick motivation. Rewards, nothing wrong with that. We need it. Do rewards work? Sure. They motivate people to want to get more rewards. It's necessary, but it's insufficient. Trust and inspire, by contrast, is about inspiration. It's internal. It's intrinsic. It's inside of people. When we light the fire within, that fire, once lit, can burn on for months, if not years, without the need for constant external stimuli. So it builds upon motivation, but it takes you to places that motivation alone can never reach, when people feel inspired. To inspire comes from the Latin term inspirare, and it means to breathe life into. So trust and inspire breathes life into relationships, into teams, into cultures, whereas command and control tends to suck the life out of. See, this is just a better way to lead and to market in our world today. Trust and inspire. Now look at the progress that we've made through the years. You know, we started really with the authoritarian command and control. That's the efficiency model. Scientific management, Frederick Winslow Taylor, that was a good thing. We became more efficient, but not enough focus on people. So we said, let's focus on people. And we added things like trustworthiness, and we added things like mission and emotional intelligence and strengths, and we became more enlightened. The problem is we didn't shift the paradigm, the mindset of how we view people and how we view leadership. So it really just became an enlightened form of command and control. A much better version, but still different in degree, not in kind. We really need to make the leap and cross the chasm into a whole different kind of leadership, trust and inspire, different in kind. See, authoritarian command and control operates on the premise of fear. So that's what I can do to you. You know, I'm the boss, I'm in charge, I can demote you, I can fire you. Fear-based, not very effective today. Enlightened command and control, far better, operates on the premise of fairness and transactional exchange. So that's what I can do for you, and you for me. But still, it's transactional. It's much better, but transactional. Trust and Inspire operates on the premise of inspiration and partnership. It's what I can do with you, what we can do together. It feels different in kind. It's a sea change. And you might look at this and say, don't we already know this? We do, but again, 92% of organizations are operating in some form of command and control. Only 8% have made the leap. Those that make the leap are going to succeed the greatest because they will first win in the workplace with their own people, with a high-trust culture that inspires. And then they will second win in the marketplace with their customers because they will collaborate and innovate. And command and control won't achieve those outcomes, but Trust and Inspire can and will. Let me give you a couple of examples of Trust and Inspire leaders. Knowing this is the Silicon Slopes Marketing Summit, I'll give a couple of technology examples. So here's a couple of Trust and Inspire leaders. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, Kathleen Hogan, who's the Chief People Officer, Nadella's right-hand person, to help bring about the transformation. When Nadella came in as the new CEO, Microsoft at the time, still big, big name and brand, but in their own words, they were fading into less and less relevance. They no longer were innovating at the time, and they were losing talent, no longer the cool place to work. Nadella comes in, completely, and by the way, their culture at the time was quite cutthroat, internally competitive with each other. Nadella comes in. He's a completely different kind of leader, leading with humility, with empathy. He modeled the behavior he wanted to see. He trusted. He had a growth mindset towards everyone. He extended that trust, gave people a chance, as Pete said, and he inspired. And again, Kathleen helped him institutionalize all of this. Bottom line is, they began to win in the workplace, build a high-trust culture that inspires. Today, they're measuring thriving, not just engagement, but thriving. And they're a talent magnet again. They're also collaborating and innovating again. They've reinvented themselves around the cloud and now around AI. And their stock price has gone from 36 to 428 under Nadella's leadership. They unleashed the greatness of their organization by first unleashing the greatness of their own people. Here's another example. There's Eric Yuan, a friend of mine, of Zoom. And his whole premise is trust, trust, trust. Because he says that speed is the primary weapon that we have. And without trust, there is no speed. But with trust, we move fast. That's why trust is everything. And he's a great model of this. Leading with trust, starting with trust, extending that trust, giving people a chance, and they move fast. And they've innovated and done some pretty extraordinary things. This is a better way to lead. So these are a couple of CEO-type examples. But this doesn't have to be the CEO. It could be you as a marketing leader. It could be you as a parent or a family member or a friend in the community. There's Trust and Inspire leaders everywhere, all around us. So I ask you, who has trusted and inspired you in your life? Can you think of a person in your life who believed in you? Maybe believed in you more than you believed in yourself, who had confidence in you, someone who took a chance on you, someone who trusted and inspired you. Let me tell you who it was for me. For me, it was my father, Dr. Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Before he was this great author and teacher, he first was just a trust and inspire parent to me and to my siblings. And he helped me believe in myself and come to see myself differently by his belief in me. Took a chance. Now that's for me. How about for you? Again, can you think of a person who believed in you? Maybe more than you believe in yourself. Who showed confidence in you? Maybe they had a lot more confidence than you had at the time. Who took a chance on you? Maybe gave you an opportunity. Maybe you didn't feel ready for it. And they said, no, you are ready. And I got your back. Someone who trusted and inspired you. As you reflect upon such a person, I'll bet most of us, if not all, have someone like this. It could, again, someone at work, someone at home, in the community, somewhere in your life. Parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, mentor, leader, coach, teacher, someone who believed in you. You reflect upon that kind of leadership. Did you need to be managed? Probably not, because you were being led. And I'll bet it brought out the very best in you. Isn't this what we want? Friends, I invite you, as you reflect upon this person, after today, or sometime today, or in the next little bit, would you thank this person? If they passed on, thank a family member. If they're still living, thank them. You can say, hey, I went to the Silicon Slopes Marketing Summit. We talked about the kind of leadership needed today. We had an outside speaker, Stephen M. Covey, talked about this kind of leadership is called trust and inspire. He has us identify a trust and inspire leader. And I thought of you. I wanted to thank you for that. You'll be amazed at what thanking them does to them, but also to you. All right, friends. Now let me just say this, that trust and inspire, here's what it is and what it is not. This is a style of leading, and I'm going to say also of marketing, that gets results, but does it in a way that sees, communicates, develops, and unleashes the inherent greatness inside of people. Here's what it is not. This is not soft or weak. No, this is strong. This is not a lack of control. No, there's a lot of control. It's just through agreements as opposed through, micromanagement. It's not a lack of structure. You can still have structure. It's not a lack of vision or direction. You can be a very visionary, trust and inspire leader. And it's not a lack of high expectations or accountability, because low expectations inspire no one. No, this is a strong form of leadership. You can be strong as a trust and inspire leader without being forceful. You can be authoritative without being authoritarian. You can be decisive without being autocratic. And you can be in charge and have control without being controlling. It's a better way to lead. So how do we become trust and inspire? Well, it starts with the paradigm, the mindset. And there are what I call 5 fundamental beliefs of a trust and inspire leader that is a more complete, accurate, and whole mindset of people and of leadership, a more accurate paradigm. So let me describe these quickly. And then I'm going to introduce some tools for you as a takeaway from today that can be helpful to you. So let me describe these 5 fundamental beliefs. First, I believe that people have greatness inside of them. I see the potential. Might be lying dormant, but I see it. So if I buy that belief, my job as a leader is to unleash people's potential, not to try to contain or control them. Second, I believe that people are whole people, meaning they have a body, a heart, a mind, a spirit, and they bring their whole selves to work. And this is consumers as well. So my job as a leader is to inspire them, not merely motivate. See, if people were only economic beings, just a body, then motivation would be sufficient. Yes, they have a body, so they want to be motivated. They also have a heart. They want to connect. One of the values of Silicon Slopes marketing. And they want to connect and to care and to love. They want to grow and to develop because they have a mind. And they want to contribute and make a difference. Let's see, my slides came down. There we go. So inspiring can take you to a whole different level than motivation ever will. Here's a third one. I believe that there is enough for everyone. That's an abundance mentality, not a scarcity mentality. So if I buy that belief, then my job as a leader is to elevate caring above competing. Yes, let's compete in the marketplace, but let us care and collaborate in the workplace. Such a better way to lead. I believe that leadership is stewardship. It's about responsibilities, not rights, influence, not position. So if I buy that belief, my job as a leader is to put service above self-interest. And ironically, in the process, self-interest is served. This is, again, one of the Silicon Slopes marketing values, serve. Service above self-interest. It's a better way to lead. My personal mantra for this, before every presentation, I say these words to myself to get my heart and my mind right. Seek to bless, not to impress. It's my way of trying to always put service above self-interest. Finally, I believe that enduring influence is created from the inside out, not the outside in. So if I buy that belief, my job as a leader is to go first. Someone needs to go first. Leaders go first. Now look at these beliefs collectively together. Now look, can I introduce you to some tools? Does everyone have a deck of these Trust and Inspire cards? If you do, could you pull these out really quick? I want to introduce this. I won't have time to go in depth, but I'll just do it with one so you can see how this could be useful. If you find this of interest, you could go deeper using these tools. If you'd open to the third card in the deck. It's going to look like this. And the cards are numbered on the bottom right. So it's number 5, and then take the 5 cards that follow. So 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. Those are the fundamental beliefs of a trust and inspire leader. Here's what I'd like you to do to make this really practical and real to you is I want you to think about these 5. And in just a moment, I'm going to have you pick one of these to work on that you'd like to get better at as a leader, whatever you feel compelled. So that today I'm not just giving you a framework of becoming increasingly trust and inspire, but maybe you've got your own action plan of becoming increasingly a trust and inspire leader. Now let me show you how the cards work. So in the front are kind of the key principles. Look at those. Leaders are gardeners. We're the machinists. The life and the power is in the seed. It's in the person. Treat people according to their potential rather than their behavior. They tend to live up to their potential. And on the back is kind of a process of actualizing that. How do you do this? Well, you see the potential. As Thoreau said, it's not what we look at that matters, it's what we see. 2 people can look at the same person, one see potential and the other not see anything. See the potential, then you communicate it to them so they come to see it in themselves. Then you develop it, then you unleash it, give them an opportunity. See, communicate, develop, unleash. And then you have some questions on these cards. On the front, how would those who I lead or serve describe me in terms of seeing and unleashing their potential for greatness? How do you show up to those you're working with, those that you're leading, those that you're serving? Do you see their potential? Will they describe you as seeing that? And on the back, in what situations, in terms of unleashing others' potential, in what situations or relationships might my style be getting in the way of my intent? It's very easy for that to happen. Our intent might be good, but our style might get in the way. But that's the idea, and you have these for all 5. So for our purposes today, could you just maybe thumb through those 5? Would you pick one to work on that you'd like to get better at? By picking one, it doesn't mean you ignored the other 4, but it's hard to do everything at once. I invite you to test this, try this. These 5 fundamental beliefs are a more complete and accurate map of people and of leadership, and I would dare say of marketing to people, because it recognizes people for who they are. And marketing around pull, not push. Trust and inspire is pull. Command and control is push. All right, so pick one of those. Now let me just say that leadership is stewardship. Well, there are 3 stewardships to move from command and control to trust and inspire. This is how we become trust and inspire. We start with the paradigm, and then we put these stewardships in place. They're simple. They're just not easy. Here's what they are. We model, we trust, and we inspire. Modeling, trusting, inspiring. Modeling is who we are. Trusting is how we lead. Inspiring is connecting to why it matters. So what are the stewardships? What are the responsibilities we have as a leader? It's to model, to trust, and to inspire those about us. So let's take these in turn. Modeling. This is who we are. This is our character. It's our competence. It's our credibility. Here's the key principle. Model the behavior that you would like to see. If you have values, model the values. If you want more openness and transparency, you be open and transparent. You want more respect, you show the respect. You want more trust, you be the first to trust. Here's the main point here. Go first. Someone needs to go first. Leaders go first. They model the behavior they would like to see. This is what Nadella did at Microsoft. Second, trusting. This is how we lead. Consider this. It's possible to have 2 trustworthy people working together, and yet no trust between them, even though they're both trustworthy. If neither person is willing to extend trust to the other, to give it. See, so if the outcome we want is trust, we want to build a high-trust team in our marketing organization, a high-trust culture, high-trust relationship. To get that, yes, we need to be trustworthy. We earn that by demonstrating our character and our competence. This is necessary, but by itself it's insufficient. Because again, you could have trustworthy people working together and no trust between them. So in addition to being trustworthy as leaders, we also need to be trusting. Need to be willing to give that trust. I find the bigger gap in creating trust on teams at the highest levels in organizations is less that people aren't trustworthy, although sometimes that's the case. It's more often that we're not trusting enough. Be trusting of each other. Be trusting of your customers. Be smart about it. But you'll be amazed at how trusting brings out the best in them. Here's 3 outcomes that come from it. People rise to the occasion. They perform better. This is giving people that chance that Pete talked about. They perform better. The data shows about 3 times better. They also grow. They develop greater capabilities. And they reciprocate and return the trust back to you. When you trust them, they tend to trust you back. And when you don't trust them, they tend to not trust you. So when Jason introduced me, he mentioned my son Britton, who played here at the U. I'll just tell a brief story about this as he'd gone to the professional football league in the NFL. In the NFL, he was a really good player in college. In the NFL, it's a tough gig. It's hard to make the team. He made it his first year. His second year, he got hurt in the preseason. He got cut. He was on the practice squad. They called him up for the first game. And he did good. He called him up for the second game from the practice squad, and he fumbled the ball. Thankfully, they recovered their own fumble, but still, he fumbled the ball. He thought he was going to be cut for sure and off the team, even off the practice squad. And he was thinking, I got to go somewhere else, maybe try to find a new place to start my career. He goes to practice. They have the film study. In that study, they see the fumble. He gets called out for it. But then the coach says, this Nick Sirianni says, hey, even though there was a fumble there, I want everyone to know something. There's nobody I trust more in this league to be our punt returner than I do Britton Covey. So rather than saying, you fumble again, you'll never play another down in this league. Instead, he said, I believe in you. I talked with him that morning, when he thought he was going to get cut. That afternoon, he says, Dad, I'm going to stay here. I have a coach who believes in me. He validated that belief. The next day, they put him on the active roster after a fumble. And then the next game, here's what Britton did.
Muff to putt against the Vikings on Thursday. Line drive, and it is a booming punt. Covey back inside the 5. Full head of steam. Great return as he takes it into Buccaneer territory. A 59-yard punt, but it was on a line.
You see, people, yeah. Thanks for indulging that proud dad moment. I appreciate it. My point is that people do their very best work when they're trusted. I do. Britton does. I bet you do. I bet your people do. Trusting. Finally, inspiring. This is connecting to why. Connect. Again, one of the values of Silicon Slopes marketing. So here's the main point on this one. Inspiring others is the greatest leadership need today. In a survey that asked people, what do you want most from your leaders? Of 16 possibilities, what came back as the number one thing that people want was a leader who inspires. The conclusion was, we're not suggesting that there is a single silver bullet for leadership, but the ability of leaders to inspire those about them comes the closest to being that all-powerful solution. So people want to be inspired. And here's the thing. Inspiring others is a learnable skill. Everyone can inspire. See, it's not just for the charismatic. We've often conflated inspiration with charisma, thinking, hey, I'm not charismatic. I don't inspire. No, they're different. I know some people who are charismatic, but who are not inspiring. I know others who no one would describe as charismatic, but who are remarkably inspiring because of who they are, how they lead, how they connect, how they care. So this is learnable. Well, how do we inspire? Well, we inspire when we model. We inspire when we trust. To be trusted is the most inspiring form of human motivation. But also, we inspire when we connect with people and when we connect to purpose. So connect with people. The key principle here is the idea of caring and belonging. When people feel that you care and when they have a sense of belonging, it gives them identity. It inspires people like nothing else. You can do this well as a leader. You can do this well as a marketer. Why does this work so well? because people feel it. And as Maya Angelou said, I have learned that people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And they feel that sense of caring and belonging. So you connect with people, and then you connect people to purpose and to meaning and to contribution. And you can do that at every level. Here's an example. I was with Pepperdine University, the Graziano School of Business. Their purpose had been this. Their purpose was to produce leaders who are best in the world. That's a good purpose. They changed one word, and they inspired everyone. They said, no, our purpose is not to produce leaders who are best in the world. Our purpose is to produce leaders who are best for the world. And everyone was inspired. We can tap into this purpose. All right, friends, 3 stewardships. We model, we trust, we inspire. Just like I asked you to pick one of the fundamental beliefs to work on, would you pick one of these 3 stewardships to work on? You've got the tools and the cards with you to take home. See this as your action plan. One of the fundamental beliefs, one of the stewardships. Work on those. Try to get better. You'll see, trust and inspire is learnable. We can get good at this. Let me conclude with an example of a trust and inspire leader, team, and culture. So this is Eric Weinmeier. He describes himself by saying, I'm the blind guy who climbed Everest. Watch this ascent. Look at this trust and inspire team and culture. Look at putting service above self-interest. Let's take a look.
Mount Everest, the tallest point on Earth. For a sighted person, climbing Mount Everest is one of the greatest physical challenges on the face of the Earth. Ever since I went blind, it's been a dream in the back of my mind to climb the world's tallest peak. I knew that only 10% of the people who try Everest make it to the top, and for every 6 people who summit, I've heard 1 dies. As a blind person, I knew I could never get to the summit of Everest alone. And what would get me to the top wasn't necessarily technology. What would get me to the summit were the people that I surrounded myself with. After that, I forced myself to sit in front of my tent and envision myself and my team on the top, to actually bleed myself forward. There's a 12,000-foot drop on this side, a 9,000-foot drop on the other side. At that point, I don't think it really matters which side you fall off of. Sometimes you have to rise to the occasion right now. You got to be good and execute right now, every step of the way.
We're on the top. I can't believe it.
Good job. You did it, man. You're on top of the world. We are on top of the world.
I don't think I'm very different from anyone else. I think everyone has a yearning for greatness inside them. That ability to reach out into uncertainty, in a sense, I guess, to climb blind.
So here's how the filmmaker Michael Brown described that. He said, what I find to be really intriguing about that milestone is that everybody on the team put aside their own self-serving need to get to the top, to get behind Eric's summit. Most of the time in Everest, it's every man or woman for himself saying, I want to be on top. They're more just concerned about, well, am I going to reach my goals? Our team had a loftier purpose, to get behind Eric and make sure he was able to safely get to the top and back down. As a result of that, everybody on the team was able to get to the top. The greatest ascent in history, putting service above self-interest, and in the process, self-interest was served. My friends, we need this kind of leadership in our world today, in a world that's dangerously low in both trust and inspiration. This is a better way to lead. It's a better way to market. It's a better way to be. You can be a trust and inspire leader and can influence those around you and can help bring about a renaissance of both trust and inspiration, which we so need in our world today. Thank you so much. I'm genuinely honored to be with you today. Thank you.